Welcome to the media, everybody. Welcome to the media. We'll be your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made us throughout the week. It is my supreme duty. Like I said, I was born to mediate as a child, placed up to the sun, told to the forces from the prophets above that this child is going to be special. He's going to do something great with his life, and if he doesn't, then we'll do it for him. They're not doing it for me, so I'm doing it for myself. Like I said, if you want to contribute any way during the show or after the show, and you want to check out the stories that almost made it to the top 8, or you just want to do some research on the stories that did make, just go to www.method8inc.com. And if you want to show us some support, you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. I'm in the office at 5648 Market Street from Monday through Friday from 10 to 6 p.m. giving out services, refilling ink cartridges, fixing things, all types of services for the community, videography, just doing so much that what I can in my allotted amount of time on this earth. I learned something very, very interesting this week, and it's that you can't control everything. You plan, and the amazing thing is that as I was preparing for the show this week, I kept finding it just leads us into when we get to story number 1. But real quick, I'm going to read the disclaimer. Is these top 8 stories are only documented for records and to highlight topics for those in the business of talk radio, talk media, and those who just want to stay informed. Now, folks, it's time to get to the top 8. And like I said, you could be sitting at a negotiating table, you could be making deals, and all of a sudden you may find out something that things are changing. Something and then you may feel a little bit wheezy in the stomach, queasy, butterflies by some of the decisions that you have to make in life. And then sometimes things may just be out of your control. But that leads us into story number 1, keeping the debt issue in the news for a reason. I learned something this week. I'm always trying to control my bills. I mean, I'm trying to keep tabs. But what I've learned in this debt problem that we have in America is not going away. This story was brought to the light during the government shutdown because there's some factors that are factoring into the fact the way Americans and America is spending money. And it started to create, it's got to stay in the news, because if it doesn't, then the issue won't be addressed. This week, I had some problems, some family problems, and a bank took almost $1,100 out of my account. I'm not a very wealthy man. I've been injured. I had to retire early because of some respiratory problems, but I'm not a wealthy person, so I can't just lose $1,100. But what I learned is that this is how it happens, and this is how most Americans get into problems, because they have to recoup this $1,100. I probably will have to take out another credit card account. So that's more debt. And then what you learned is that I probably have to count, because I run a corporation, a small corporation. I probably have to count probably 7 days a week. So that means I get mentally exhausted just from counting, making sure that we can reach the budget for next month. Just a community-run small business, one single little man in a building, keeping count. And then what I looked at, I compared myself. I said, now think about if you're like President Trump, or if you're like the last administration where you had to get us through the recession. If you got to think about these people in leadership positions, and you see these numbers, and you have to start trimming and shedding, and you have to start figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Then on top of that, you let people know that we need to stop this spending problem, and everybody just acts like it doesn't exist. And then the fact that you're giving people, nations all over the world, you're giving them money and you're not getting a return. So this is what why I saw story number 1, and I kept seeing little bitty pieces of it trickling, staying in the news, and it's got to stay alive, because debt is a problem. It is a very big problem, especially in capitalism. There are some things that are happening, like Oregon. If you don't know about this, they're passing. This may be the first statewide rent control bill. People, this is what if you don't know what rent control is basically where they don't allow landlords to they basically put a cap on how much rent a landlord can charge. So that means that the person who invests in the property is losing money. Folks, the financial structure of this system has a lot of flaws in it. I was talking to the bank that took the money, and I was trying to they took money out of my account without me even knowing. They gave me no notice, no anything. And this happens all the time to people who may have family members who they may have co-signed for. So something could happen, and then you could just be sitting there thinking that you're finally getting ahead, and this is what sets you back. So this is happening on not just in a small little household, but all over the United States and the world, where you have people, just like in this country right now, they're having a problem where they're saying we have to tax the rich to give back to the poor, then the middle class suffers. So this is becoming a serious problem in a capitalist society. And then you have people who have socialist agendas where they feel like we can give things away for free and nobody will ever have to pay for it. And then you have, like I said, when you have people who invest in properties and land, they have the Senate bill that's probably it's got I think 35 to 25 vote. It's a Senate bill 608, and it's going to pass in Oregon. And they're saying that it's going to limit rent increases to 7% and each year in addition to inflation. So that means that in Oregon they're gonna put basically they're gonna tie these property owners who own these properties and who if the expenses go up, they won't be able to raise the rents. So it's starting to become full scale of how much money is important in this system that we live in. They're saying that 1,000 TSA employees still owe back pay from the shutdown before. So money is starting to become full scale. It's becoming the center of attention. I'm telling you, when they get so aggressive that they're going into people's accounts, taking money and not even telling them or advising them, and then on the fact that you as a civilian you can't afford attorneys, you're facing a bank. So this is the problem. And then you have to look at past administrations. What policies affected the fact that you have people in smaller communities, minority communities, who can't afford, who want to open up businesses but can't afford because they don't have the means. The banks aren't lending the money. So, folks, this is becoming a real issue, the financial problem. And then the fact that the federal government is about to hit its credit limit. And then you have student loan debt. Innocent Americans, even myself, who wanted to go down the right path and invest in themselves, and then they end up with college bills like maybe $900, $500, and they just don't have the job to pay the bills. So this debt problem, when I seen it hit me again, I tell my mother, I say, Mom, I'm gonna wait. Every week something happens. I said, I'm just waiting to see what happens next week. I can never get too happy, too comfortable. There's always something. So I'm finally thinking I could probably start paying off some things. I can start flexing out this budget a little bit more. And then bam. Next thing you know, they're going into your accounts. My grandfather hated banks. He would always, when I used to be a mailman, I would always wonder why the old school generation would always want to check and go to the bank and cash their check. They would never want to deposit. And this is why this story is got to stay in the news, because if the system is rigged to keep poor people poor and rich people rich and middle class people suffering, then something has to change. And you may see all of these stories surfacing about North Korea. You may see all these stories surfacing about all this what Trump is doing, who's affair. But no, there is a reality going on the ground that people are suffering financially. Americans, citizens, people who do not have the financial means to even afford their next month's rent. So they're going out looking for a second job that is not there. Folks, this is a real problem. They're saying that the U.S. economy grew 2.9% in 2018, but right now all economists are predicting some type of recession or downstream. So this is the government spending has went way up, and they've been putting it into the economy, and there is no results. The bubble, inflation. This is a real deal thing, because it's affecting. It's when you look at the fact that if China economy slows down, then and you affect 1,400 Illinois auto workers' jobs. That's a big problem. So somebody has been messing with the controls, and it's starting to have a ripple effect. And we don't know how this is going to turn out. And it's laying on this administration's table right now. What can this president do? You just see you see GM in the Northeast Ohio suffering because on March 8th they're playing their last day at a plant. So then you got auto workers unions suing GM. So this, folks, if there are jobs, or if there are jobs out there, or if the economy is growing, or if there are positions that need to be filled, then some people are saying they don't see it. And they're reaching out to this administration to try to get some help, and it's creating a problem. When you have the fact that companies have to volunteer to help their own workers pay down their own student loans. This is a real, if you want to talk about a emergency at the border, there's a financial emergency going on, and the government has to find some way to create policies to even this out, to get these American. You got all these financial advisors around there. You've got the credit. I mean, these people advertise constantly about how you shouldn't have to pay credit cards, bankruptcy lawyers. So folks, if there's a problem and these people are providing services, why are so many Americans suffering with financial debt? Is it because financial literacy wasn't taught in schools, or is it because of the fact that they're just people who do not understand money? Folks, this is a real problem. Women have children, they have to resort to credit cards. They don't know how to pay the bills. They don't have a good paid job. Folks, I'm telling you, if there is no money in people's pockets, you're seeing it happening where people don't have, and then you have wealthy people or the rich who may loot or may feel like they don't want to invest anymore. The money issue, this story, keeping the debt issue in the news for a reason, needs to stay alive. When you have the president, he's had to ask China to lift all U.S. agriculture tariffs. So President Trump may be rethinking his strategy to get aggressive on some of these trade policies, because it's affecting not only farmers, but it's affecting big business, small businesses. With GM leaving the Northeast Ohio area, a lot of small businesses are affected. Everybody is connected when it comes to who can get access to wealth. We just had a community fundraiser. People have to start understanding money. Even children, they have to understand the value of investing money instead of spending on things that will not get them anywhere, that is not going to be worth anything. Investing money. I always tell investors, I said, if you feel like you can't get a return in the stock market, invest locally into your local community, because you're investing in the future of not only the people but into yourself. And that's why story number one is such important. If you want to contribute anyway, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West. That was a story number one. I see that gaining some steam. It's amazing how it went all the way down to number one, because it's been slowly the people you cannot take your eyes off finances. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, ISC.com, method88.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. You're in the mediator with me, Brian West, where it is my duty, my supreme duty, to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it throughout the week. Like I said, if you want to contribute, I'm also in the office at 5648 Market Street, giving out services to the community, trying to put it back into the community. I've devoted my entire life. I started off publishing manuscripts at an early age, just doing it myself, and I've built every year just trying to learn more and more, so I can be an asset to not only my family members but the people around me. So I've devoted my life to that. I have no regrets. I told my family, even though they may not be able to pay their bills, I have no regrets. I left the military, wanted to help out my family, and I have no regrets in my life. I don't regret doing the right thing. If you are suffering doing the right thing, then there's something wrong with leadership. There's something wrong with the policies in this country, and that's probably what the fight needs to be at. We don't need to be focusing on people's personal we need to be focusing on a reality. If people are trying to better themselves, if they're not doing anything crazy, and they're not getting the the fruits of their labor, then folks, there's a problem. There is a real big problem. Let's get to story number 2. Is equalities causing a problem? This is a story that crept in because of the fact that they're talking about and involving women in the draft. They say that there hasn't been a military draft in the U.S. since the conscription was ended in 1973. But they are talking so all this equality. When you and that's even sadder is the fact that you've got two people living in a household, and they both can create wealth, and there's still a problem, still a financial problem. And this is when you talk about women and men. And live and the fact the science, folks. The reality is that we're equal by maybe the way we can be equal maybe by opportunity, but a man and a female, two different species, two different types of thinking. I sometimes I conversate. I was raised around a lot of boys and girls, so talking to a lot of my cousins and my sisters and stuff, we were definitely, we may sometimes think similar things, but sometimes I think some screws are missing logically from sometimes, because people, I said I don't want to get into the wrong direction, but I personally, I think people could be better at something than other people. Like my little cousin Lisa, when we were smaller, we were young, she would beat me at basketball. I was not a good basketball player when I was a kid. I developed late in my life. It took a long time. But I have cousins who just phenomenal basketball players, girls. And I had friends. And so some people are gifted in some different ways. But I think that's maybe, but they may be confusing. I think this equality issue, once you put it in politics, it just really, because in politics you have to, politics is always like a chess match. You have to see what you can get out to give to back to your people. So equality is just, they've been putting this into a lot of especially a lot of sympathy stories, but there's some things that are going on that do require attention. Like they're saying that there were nooses that have been found at not only GM plants but at a Boeing plant in South Carolina. Now, and then they have stories about Virginia First Lady handing out cotton to black children during a tour. Then they have a story, a headline that surfaced about saying that white school districts have much more money than say majority black school districts in some states. They're saying that some states, I guess, receive 11,000 less per student. And predominantly, so this is when you have, and then you have police stories that surface. The headline: 5 Chicago police officers dead by suicide since July, and they're trying to figure out is when you're, but basically, I guess the point is when you're talking about equality, you have to weigh the scales here. Equality should be judged by how much and how much you could provide and how much you could. But when you have ignorance and the fact that people are doing things to offend people, that's definitely those are I think those are civil issues, and this is probably why these stories. This is why stories like this creep into the top 8. Then they got this Green New Deal that would cost up to $93 trillion. 600,000 per household. When people are talking about equal pay, I mean, you can't pay, folks. I face this all the time. Most of the services I provide, I'm not. Since I own my own business and I'm retired, I don't make enough to pay myself yet. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've had to rebuild an entire business structure because of the fact that I come from a poor family. I have a lot of poor people. So I mean, I'm not saying this to be in a different light, but I just have to get you to understand the mindset of somebody who doesn't have a lot of education but maybe working hard. There's a big difference, because if that were the case, then they have to work their way up to management. So I don't think when you talk about equality, it's causing a lot of problems, especially when you have male and female trying to reach the same ultimate prize. I think it really, because a lawyer is not going to be paid even though they may have more education. It's sad but some lawyers are less off than some people who have had welfare. So that this equality thing, it's just the fact that there's just a ball field that we're playing on, and the people who have been putting the most into it, they're starting to feel cheated. So it's creating a problem because there's a lot of slackers out there, and I think that's the real issue. And some people are putting like race and other things into political issues, but the fact is that equality is a real problem, especially when there's ignorance, like people putting up nooses or slurs, or putting racial slurs into the matter. But when you talk about what really needs to be addressed, I think what really needs to be addressed is the fact that you've got people who are doing the right thing and they're still suffering, and you have people who are doing the wrong things and they're getting away with it, and I think that's may be the real issue. If you want to contribute anyway, you're in the media with me, Brian West, where I give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories. We're almost at the halfway point. We're up to story number 3. If you want to contribute, like I said, in any way, all you have to do is visit METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. A lot going on in the world, a lot going on in the news. That's what leads us to story number 3. Story number 3, why did Trump walk away, and why is pressure on him continuously growing? There's been a lot of opinion pieces. I was reading a few editorials on this president, and I think the main thing that people are addressing is the president's his behavior. But there he has a lot of when I began the show, I was telling you about the fact that sometimes we plan these things, but this president was elected because people wanted an outsider in Washington. I was talking to my dad. My dad said we may need somebody, an independent, a different party or system or something. But what they're saying about this president is the fact that they're saying that he's based. Some people are calling him a con man. I think Michael Cohen called him a con man, a racist. So this president's been taking a lot of heat. And I was reading into this North Korean deal, and I guess the report was basically saying that North Korea basically wants their sanctions that have been put on them since 2016. These sanctions have I guess crippled their civilian economy. So North Korea, I guess they offered a nuclear shutdown or nuclear weapons shutdown in exchange for these sanctions lift. So I guess the president probably thought to himself, if this is how it went down, this is what the story report, this is what the headline and the meat of the story read, is that he walked away from the deal. So, and then whenever I go into the ball field of connecting the dots and stories, you find links. And another story I found is that North Korea has been reverting. They're saying there's reports that said they've been reverting to cyber attacks to get money to feed his people. Now, and then you hear the president talking compassionately about Kim Jong-un, the dictator. So when you read it, then you hear him talking about Russia. One thing I've learned serving in the church at a young age, one thing I was always taught, especially from the pastor, is that when people are being very, very kind and generous, it usually means that you have something that they want or need. Now, let me replay this back. North Korea did not become such an amazing story until they started tossing missiles. Now, just imagine if they would have hit a target. So this would have been aggressive, and it would have been war. Then you have innocent civilians who have been caught up in the mix, like Otto. So you heard the president mention some things like that. So the Democrats or the other side, if you want to call it, of politics. I hate to say there's two sides, but there is. The other side has been building up a lot of talking points and really are going after his president's approval rating by steering out a lot of facts about the president's behavior, about the way he responds, the mess that he's putting a lot of people into just by the way he presents. But then you hear the other side saying, well, he's such a, if you meet him, he's a great guy, he's a motivator. But there's some, I'm telling you, in the media and analysts are fact checking constantly, and a lot of them do not. We will only know the Trump effect, the effect that we have long gone after his term, or if he gets reelected. So we don't know what the Trump effect will lead all of us. See, when I was in the military and I saw the videos on Pearl Harbor and I seen the 9/11 attacks, when I was there, I saw men come together when we had to come together. But right now, there's a lot of division because of the fact of the Trump effect. But the fact is that is Trump what he's doing needed? Is it needed? Is it? And this is what you'll probably hear analysts trying to figure out: is what we're seeing in this president needed? Do we need this president to be aggressive? Did we hire him to be aggressive? Does the almost 60 something votes, or 60 something, or however many votes, the majority votes that he got, is this something that needs to be addressed? You've seen a lot of people's feathers get ruffled in this administration. But the fact, like I said in the beginning of this program, I tried to make you aware that there are a lot of things going on the ground, and maybe our attention needs to be off of this president's personal life and the problems, and not only just the problems that are going on in Washington, but on some real reality situations, folks. The reality situations that there are a lot of Americans suffering, really suffering. I talk to my sister. I talk to her all the time, and baby, they always talking about the millennials. Millennials want good things for themselves. My sister tried to go out and get a nice apartment for herself so she can spend, but she's not making enough. And this is what's happening in this whole, even friends I've talked to, about people I've went to school with. They want to do the right thing. They want to have money. People come from minority communities, and even immigrants. People want to have a good life, but they just don't have enough capital. And you're living in a capitalist society. And when they see all of these people on TV living lavish lives, wasting money, it makes people envious, and it makes them get in debt. So this is the problem that you're starting to see, and it's a real issue. And when you look at an attorney and you look at the president's rap sheet, folks, there's some serious stuff going on in this administration. You have an attorney that was this president's attorney. President Trump owns, I think he has over 500 businesses. This guy knows probably tons of people. He's probably met tons of people all over the world. But you've got an attorney calling him a racist, a con man. I mean, what is the reality here, folks? But because whatever is happening on the inside of Washington and in this man's administration and in his life, it's affecting Americans, and it's causing a lot of confusion and problems within this country. We're starting to see supremacist groups rise. People talking about racial issues, nooses popping up. Is this it? But the right, the Republicans are saying it's the Democrats. But folks, is this a real problem that we face in this country? Is it really the problem? When you talk about equality, these are things that you're probably going to see continues to make headlines, folks. Really, really. And then on top of that, they're saying that U.S. leadership falls further behind China in global regard, folks. This is a Gallup. This is a real issue. If the United States loses its global stance, we'll start having to depend on communist nations. I'd hate to see this nation fall at the wayside. I'd hate to see it. I'd hate to see our military become depleted, so depleted that next thing you know, you get invaded. The next thing you know, you've got tons of enemies coming in, making your people slaves, your country. See, we have land. We have resources in this country. You get people who invade, coming through, just ruining all of the stuff that each bloodline has fought for something in this country. People should be united and trying to work together to get these issues solved. But instead, you have two sides bickering it out, constantly fighting, and it's causing a lot of problems. Folks, there are some real problems going on the ground. Really, really big problems. People just trying to get out of debt, trying to get ahead. Next thing you know, you get another bill, a medical bill. And politicians their families have got excellent policies. When you have leaders living much lavish lives, like I said, you got dictators all over the world living lavish lives, and their people are suffering. This is a problem. You got 1% of the world. They're living it up, and you got the other 99% have nothing, constantly trying to get ahead. This is a real issue. Folks, if you want to contribute anyway, you're in the media, it'll be Brian West. I said it's a real issue, and I don't see it going away because it's causing a real big problem here in America. It's causing a problem. Rich, poor, middle class. Something has to be done. The government has printed out way too much money. Where is all this money? Is it in Iraq? Is it in Afghanistan building schools? When you folks, people in this country are suffering. They're getting tired. They've been working hard. They see. I mean, when you see these things, when you see these issues, and the fact that you get people who try to invest in a local community, but the kids are just, they don't have the parental structure. Their families are broken up. Babies all around. This is a reality. And people, it's starting to become, if I probably wouldn't have stepped in when my sister was growing up and took my benefits, my hard-earned money, and invested it back in my family, who knows where I'd be right now, or even my family members. I don't regret it, though, because I did something good. It's a good deed, an investment into my family, into the community. I've stayed in Youngstown for about, I came back in 2000. I've spent all of my money inside the community. I don't have any regrets for doing that because I've invested locally. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD. If you want to help out, if you want to be a part, all you have to do is buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com. You're the mediator with me, Brian West, where it's my duty to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it throughout the week. Like I said, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to give you some love, some insight. I want you to feel great when you wake up in the morning. I'm not a bad radio host. I'm a good. I try to be the good guy, the hero, stepping in, saving you, giving you what you need, information that's right. Guarantee it's right, because it can't get wrong. If I feel right, if I feel great inside, I want you to feel great. 50-50 love. That's what it's all about, folks. Let's get to story number 4. Like I said, if you want to contribute anyway, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West. We are past the halfway point. If you want to contribute, all you have to do is visit METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. I've taken my own willpower, my own finances, just for you, to encourage you. I have to go through probably 100 to 50 stories every week, and it gets tough, but I get it done. Just navigating the news just for you. So if you want to contribute, all you have to do is visit METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com. It's very simple. Buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Pennies compared to any other place you probably spend. Locally owned, folks. Story number 4. Why are so many women getting killed? Folks, there's something really that caught on the radar. The reason why the story is so important, because we need women to reproduce. We need women for to raise children, and they're saying that the body of a 23-year-old vanished in Boston, and there's been at a nightclub, and she was found in her car trunk. And men are rebelling against their girlfriends, not only because they're going out and partying, but this is becoming a real bad problem. I think I reported a few weeks ago that there's saying that 50,000 women were killed last year alone. Domestic violence, trafficking, human sex trafficking, rape, and the fact that women are under religious law, a lot of religious laws, they don't have a lot of rights. So, but in America, they have a lot of rights. Some people are saying that men are killing women because they don't want to pay child support. Because they get pregnant, women are having a result to kill. They're having to kill their babies. They're having to kill themselves, folks. It's staying in the news. Women's issues. So just be aware that this is becoming a really bad problem, and women are going about it strategically in the media, but the thing is that you have to look at the roots of how this stuff happens. How do they end up in these bad relationships? How do they end up in spots like this? Where are they hanging out? Who are they? How are they dressing, folks? This is becoming a really bad problem. I had sisters growing up, so I had to be there. I had to comfort my sisters. I had to when they got their heart broken or something, or when they got fights. I had cousins all the time would get in fights. We had fights on the street, and girls can be other girls can, when it comes to other things, women can be they can be very vindictive. They can be just as violent as men. I think my ex-wife, she told me, she said women think just like men. So I said, wow, but folks, there's a real bad problem, and it's especially when money is drying up. They're saying that a lot of women are getting involved with a lot of violence. Let's move along here. If you want to contribute anyway, story number 4. A lot of women are getting killed, folks. So story number 4. like I said, a lot of women are losing their life, and that story it's been staying. Women's stories have been staying in the news the past few weeks. If you want to contribute anyway, you're in the media with me, Brian West, where it's my supreme duty to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories that made it throughout the week. If you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is visit METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Every show is uploaded to our YouTube site or just our website, period, during the week. So if you cannot catch the show, or if you catch the tail end and you want to see what you want to catch it more, all you have to do is visit the website. They're all documented. All you have to do is click watch stuff, and you just follow the link, the mediator, or just top stories and everything. Let's get to story number 5. What is causing so many heated debates in America? You could weigh past administrations, and you could weigh the right and the left. But the real reality is that there is a point where a lot of people are trying to stay in the center, and they're trying to figure out what is causing so many people to get in these arguments and get into these. I mean, you can look at it on Facebook, and you can look at just the fact that people are wearing themselves out trying to prove their political points. I've seen tons of radio hosts, heard of tons of radio hosts who have had to shut down their Facebook accounts. They've had to basically go into isolation. I mean, I even think Rush Limbaugh, I've heard some situations where he just talked about how he cannot really have a social life because of his stance. And then you hear there's even a guy locally. They said he was talking about just being targeted on Facebook. I believe it's oh my god, I think it's Mo Ray. He was talking about even though these are two different types of radio hosts, then there's other even radio hosts like I think Don Imus back in the day. So the fact is that when a radio host brings to light a topic, and especially if they support another party, then they often become a target, and it doesn't just account for radio hosts. It accounts for people who are on TV, celebrities, people. What's sad is that this is a country where you are free to believe and think the way you want to think. If you have an opinion on a topic, or just some type of you may value something that a candidate is talking about. It may be the reason why you're voting for this candidate. But they're saying that these people, even when you talk about the MAGA hats, people, if somebody supports a candidate, like I may not have liked some of Obama's policies, but I'm not going to go throwing his supporters off of the roof, folks. That's the benefit and the greatness of living in a democracy. And that's why I have to step in between and mediate, because people are having to change their whole life structure. Some of these guys, some of these people who have strong political views don't go out in public. They can't go out. Their lives are being threatened. But especially like just some of the issues, some of the things that people are taking. It's sad, because it's really dividing this country. It is really putting a bitter taste in people's mouths. When you go into communities and you know the type of person you are, I believe most people who I've met are good people. But when you start getting into politics, and then they start getting all divided, and people, you have the right to believe what you want to believe, as long as you're not throwing violence at me, it's fine. But they're saying that these debates are getting so heated that they're causing a lot of problems. People get their lives threatened. I mean, you got all this stuff going on. And then what I was thinking is, could a third party even this stuff out? Like, do we need like some type of independent mediator party that could get these people's attention, especially when you talk about what's happening on the ground? There's a lot of stuff happening inside of locally, and like local communities, and you get stories. The ripple down effect in Washington that's starting to affect the lives of everybody else. And people need money. They need capital to do what they need to do. So I think I had a meeting with a nonprofit a few weeks ago. I believe it was Tony Budak, a friend of mine. He does time banking. And this guy's been doing this time banking thing. And if you don't know anything about time banking, it was a time banking. I believe it's more used in Japan because they don't have it's basically a barter system where people exchange time for labor, and it's real needed in countries that don't have a lot, and they use it. Most businesses use it to because they don't have a lot of money or a lot of capital. So you see people who have been, and he's not been able to get the community support that he wants for his time banking. And then you see all of these people who have ideas, fresh new ideas, and they get into the real capitalist environment, and then they get in big arguments. Next thing you know, their agenda is. I mean, when you listen to people's ideas, I mean, you look and see what can be done and what can't be done, and that's the big thing. And sometimes people just have different views, but I think we're all human beings, especially in America. Even though there are some radical ideas, like I said when we were earlier in the show, I said the only thing that people need to be worried about is people's level of education. Like, I cannot go telling a doctor that I need my appendix taken out. There's some things that he may be aware of that I am not aware of. So this is where we're headed, where you have all these chiefs and you don't have that many Indians, or you have all these egos, and just people just have a lot of just want to. I mean, they feel like they but this is creating such a big mess because it's continuously dividing a great place, and it's causing a lot of problems. Like I think they were talking about how the president was overseas, and he's watching his attorney and he's overseas discussing a peace deal, trying to get some things situated, and he's watching his attorney on TV, the attorney that he knew for 10 years. This man is about to face jail time for being with the road dog. They were road dogs. They were on their quest. Every man is on his quest to take over the world, and on that journey, men create friends. We create guys who we feel like we can trust. Sometimes we can't please all these friends. And we're seeing friendships being broken up right now. Just griminess, sliminess in the White House. How is this happening? You look at it, and it's affecting everybody because people start to feel like they have to be that way. You have to close up shop to your friends because they don't support a candidate. That's why story number 5. I mean, it's bumped up. People are getting heated debates, just getting rid of family members, disowning friends. It's amazing. Let's get to story number 6. If you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com. You're in the meeting with me, Brian West. Where is my supreme duty to stay in the middle? Trying to figure out why, right and left. Why sometimes I need to go right. Sometimes I may just decide to go left, just to loosen up a bit. But I often like to stay on the right. It makes sense. But sometimes, like I said, some things in life just don't make sense, especially when you're trying to get ahead. And the next thing you know, somebody just takes money out of your account, and you have to switch up. And you see what it feels like to suffer. And it makes you appreciate things a little bit more. It makes you understand what people who may not have more than you, what they're feeling and how their life is. It makes you understand that we all may need each other. I don't know. You know, you feel like sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world, like you're so powerful that you don't need everybody else. Then when you have nothing left, you feel like you need your mother's advice. You need your sisters around. Folks, let's get to story number 6. If you want to contribute anyway, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West. We're almost, we have about 12 minutes left of the show, but if you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com. I need you. I need you just like you may need me. I can give you something, some information that may help you out. So if you want to contribute, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, Method80.com. I don't ask for much. All you have to do is buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Story number 6. Why perfect science and religion are impossible. Well, I've talked about this prevalently. When you talk about, they're talking about the Earth's fish are disappearing because of climate change. So, and then you had some stories that surfaced about the Supreme Court having to intervene with this memorial cross. They're talking about the separation between church and state again. Then you have the fact that Christians are still being persecuted overseas. They're being targeted because of their faith. Even Christians in North Korea. And then you have the LGBT community. Folks, nobody can be perfect. I mean, it's impossible. I try to be perfect every day. I talked about it at the beginning of the show. I try to have a perfect budget. I swear. I have to count all the time. Just something goes wrong. An idea pops in my head that just can't go away. Folks, this is a reality. Even in science, they tell you they have all these numerical values where everything has to even itself out. Then they find out that something is not right. Somebody comes out with a missing some fingers or something. Science, they try to monitor or alter people's genetic DNA so they could be immune to something. The next thing you know, something else is falling off when they come out. People are messing with stuff all the time. The reality of the situation is that things happen. You go on this journey in life, and the next thing you know, you find out that you can't. Everything can't be perfect. It's happening to the media. The media is finding out, even in each administration, that the more they talk about things, the more they analyze things. It is what it is. There's people out there that just you cannot stop. Police are finding it out all the time. You try to stop these criminals. You try to get them to live right. Next thing you know, they're doing wrong. Man, I wish there was a perfect. We could all just be perfect and nothing would happen. But things happen, folks, and we all handle things differently. But as a mediator, like I said, I love you. I want to be a part of your life. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't be spending money in here trying to inform you to make my life better. That's what mediation is all about, folks. It's not just a commentation. It's a sense of living, a sense of rebirth, rejuvenation. There's no perfect science. There's no perfect religion. They're talking about data, and talking about climate change. The earth just could be going through a change. We haven't been on this earth long enough. What do you think the dinosaurs? The dinosaurs didn't have enough technology. They didn't have enough smarts. But we've got intellect. And we're saying that everything that we're doing, or everything that we're doing, could be causing a catastrophic. Where everybody's gonna 12 years now not gonna be on Earth scaring people. Is this facts? Is science really fact? Is religion? We found out yesterday that is religion itself. Can every woman be a virgin? No. It's just not. Some women. It's just not. It's impossible. We're going to do something wrong. You try to be strict on your children. You can't go out. But next thing you know, something could happen. That's the type of world we live in, folks. That's why story number 6 is such elevated. Because everybody's trying to be on this straight, perfect path. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, folks. Story number 6. Why? Perfection of science and religion is impossible. You've got these guys covering up these girls who just want to be free. They just want to go out and smell the flowers. Go for a walk. But the religion is holding them back. It's creating an urge. It's just want it, and boom, the head pop off because you want to be free, folks. Mediation is tough, but I tell you, somebody's got to do it. Let's get to story number 7. If you want to contribute anywhere here in the media with me, Brown West, about to get to the top 2 stories that made it to the media this week. Top 2 stories, headlines, developing news stories that made it. Story number 7, one of the top stories. If you want to contribute again, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Story number 7, X out climate change. Could pollution be the silent killer? There was a chemical spill in Alabama. There was a water treatment plant. I guess it sent 54 people to the hospital. They're saying that there is that there was some uranium left at a dam, and they're saying that some people were exposed to radiation. There's also been some stories that have surfaced about nuclear power, nuclear waste, and plastic waste, and the fact that recycling plants have been letting off a lot of pollution. They're even talking about the industrial plants. They're even talking about toxic byproducts of Agent Orange that continue to pollute Vietnam. Folks, pollution may be a silent killer, and that's why it surfaced in, and it is even me. I had to work around a lot of pollution my entire life, actually. Well, my entire adult life, and I'm feeling the effects even with my sinuses. So pollution is a real bad problem. And the government is trying to regulate it. They're doing everything they can. We've had tons of new innovative ideas, and this is the story, man. It's that story. It's at number 7. It's been in the news. Climate change is out, but you've been kind of seeing pollution creep back in. But the reason why it popped up is because of the fact that pollution causes diseases. Toxins cause a lot of problems with food. With just the way, just diseases that you could get from just just different types of toxins in the air. People who smoke around children, and children grow up with respiratory problems. This is a really big problem, and it crept its way up to the top 2 stories. And the fact that you've got so much going on where people are just not as they're not as engaged as they used to be when it comes to, and there's still like not a lot of parent trust, and not only just government but doctors. So this when you and a lot of that has to do with treatment, early treatment, finding out that your child may have asthma, or finding out that your child, what your child may be allergic to. And a lot of these things are what's in the air, what's polluting the air. And I remember back in the day, even with secondhand smoke, that's a big thing. You talk about people processing weed, like that chemical is getting in the air because they're processing it. So there's the pollution, and the fact that you may be involuntarily inhaling things that you don't want in your body. This is a real problem. Let's get to story number 8. If you want to contribute anyway, the top story that made it to the media this week. If you want to contribute, you're in the media with me, Brian West. All you have to do is visit METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. I'm in the office from 10 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday at 5648 Market Street. If you want to swing by and buy something, trade something, get your ink cartridge refilled, or if you have something that's broke, all of it goes back into the community. I would love to make enough money to put myself on payroll, but I'm just like every other American, just trying to get by, waiting on the next. But I have been able to get some things done. But there's just, when you have a crumbling village around you, people who need cash, need access to capital, you have to create jobs. Sometimes you have to work for free, and that's the problem with being an officer, especially at a small corporation. Story number 8. That's not making a lot. That the money is going back into the community. Story number 8. So if you want to contribute really fast before I get to story number 8, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Story number 8. Don't sleep on the health crisis. Folks, a woman got a medical bill for almost over $48,000 for a CAT scan. The medical problem has been slowly creeping in and out of the news, and it is the healthcare crisis, the healthcare problems, the fact that people, this is a really bad problem, and then the fact that Nevada is seeking to become the 8th state to allow physician-assisted suicide. Some states are taking notice even of vaccinating children. The fact that parents haven't been vaccinating them. Folks, this is a really bad problem, and there's even a story that surfaced about there's a new Medicare for All bill that would largely outlaw private insurance. Folks, Medicare made it to the top 8. There's some local stories that made it in. Some doctors in the valley are rethinking healthcare by offering yoga and urgent care centers instead of the traditional medicine and the traditional way of treatment. Method8inc.com, I made it into the top 8 locally for opening up ways for community projects to be invested in with 50-50 tournaments, basketball tournaments where players pay $8. 50% of the proceeds in the tournament go to the winner of the tournament, and 50% of the other proceeds go back into the community. I want to thank you so much. We've had a great time today. I've tried to, like I said, it's always my duty to keep you informed and try to make sure you stay informed. So if you find something in the news, all you have to do is visit the website, see what stories made it in, see what stories almost made it to the top 8. But healthcare made it to the top 8 this week because people are trying everything to prevent themselves from getting sick, and there's just a lot of things going on with pollution and involuntary things that are causing people to get sick. We want jobs, we want green jobs, but we want to stay healthy, and health is becoming the healthcare problem. It's like I said, this woman got almost over $48,000 bill in the mail for a CAT scan. And it's sad. But these issues are taking full scale. There's really a problem with how the United States has been managing our money, how we've been managing our system, and there's a lot of unfairness going on out there. You're seeing this stuff happen. People want to see stuff get done, folks, and they need answers, and we need solutions very, very fast. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week, and just try to stay afloat. Try to encourage each other, and I'm on your team. I want all Americans to succeed. I remember what it was like in 9/11. when we all had to come together. I remember I was in. So, like I said, get it together. Well, thank you so much for tuning to the Be There this week with me, Brian West, and have an excellent week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Be There with me, Brian West. Ciao. Hello.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The mediator is here.